Unbox the Board, and today we are going to unbox something that I'm quite excited about, which is Twilight 2000. Twilight 2000 from Free League. I'll read the bit in the back. There's a little bit of sort of fluff. A classic role-playing game returns. New retro-apocalyptic edition of Twilight 2000 goes back to the roots of the franchise with the open-world role-playing in the devastation of World War III. Just like the original 1984 edition, this new game is set in the year 2000, devastated by war, set now in an alternate timeline where the Soviet Union never collapsed. It's a role-playing game about survival in mankind's most desperate hour, yet in this bleak world there is still hope. In the midst of our destruction, you can start to build something new. So let's have a look. This was the first game I got into way back in the day, and I'm excited to see what there is in here. So let's have a look. So we get a box, and inside the box, so we've got some cards. Now, any of you that have watched me do unboxings before know that me and cards are going to be a pain in the neck, so I should have brought my scalpel. I didn't. Of course, I'm going to just spend 30 seconds on doing that. And meanwhile, actually we'll come back to that, because there's a bundle of cards and we'll have a look at those in a moment. Some dice. These are a number of different dice from what I can work out. So there's some dice that are allocation dice for where you actually get hit locations. Then there's some that are to do with shots, I believe. And then there's some more that are to do with these are ammo dice, I think, by the look of them. Which is kind of cool. And then we get some more shot dice. So there's shots, seeing if you hit or not hit and all that kind of stuff. Then we get a little bit of games catalogue covering the different games that Free League do. There's a growing sort of group and some superb games that we've talked about on the channel before. And if you haven't seen them, please check them out. They're really good. And then let's have a look at the meat and drink of this thing. So, it's all very snug in there. You get a secret file, which is, I think basically it's about deployments in different areas, I think. I'll check that out, but it's really flavoursome. It looks really good. And then we get some maps. Now these look like combat maps to me. Oh, those are really nice actually. So these are where you actually do encounters. You do them in these maps, and these are quite cool. So how many do you get? There's 1, 2 there because it's double-sided. There's another, so that's 4. Oh, there's kind of like a complex or a village or a town, I suppose. That looks like something like a prison, maybe. Then we've got a much bigger. Oh, this is a lot bigger. This is like a travel map, I guess. And it looks like Oslo is up there. So this is the Sweden. I know you can play this in Sweden or Poland. This is huge, but it allows you then to move. And this is Warsaw. This is the Warsaw side and sort of where different things are. That's cool. I like that. And then we've got some character sheets. It's very old school actually having these, so you can write up your characters, and it's really nice touch actually, because that's quite cool. So for your party you've got 5 different character sheets. Nice touch. We've got some more sort of tactical, and these are a little bit short. These are a little bit, are those the same scale? Yeah, the same scale. These are a little bit smaller. So these are probably more generic with the look of it, I would say. And they're pretty nice actually, and I suppose you could actually join them together a bit if you really wanted to. to make different combos. Again, really nice. Good sort of card stock, which is cool. This is all before we get any. Gosh, there's a lot of them. So there's. Let's just see how many of those there are before. So that's those little double-sided ones. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 16 different little encounter maps. Plus you've got your other 2 bigger ones, which is nice. And then we get tokens. So these are your, so that you can, you know, put different things in different places. It looks like there's things that go on the ground, mines, different vehicles and different people. And then we're actually getting into the manuals, which I'm gonna pop out. So, oh, these are chunkier than I thought it'd be. So the referee's manual, and we will probably do one where we actually go through this in a bit more depth and detail just on its own. But in terms of the quality, it's what you expect. It is softback, but some really nice sort of, those look like scenarios to me. Yeah, those bigger ones are scenarios. Let's see what the index says. The World at War. That's just beautiful artwork. So you get a bit in the World at War, what's happening in different countries, what a referee does, what some lists of encounters, factions, scenario sites, and then solo rules, so ways that you can do it in solo, which is, I think lockdown's taught us all that solo gaming is a good thing to do. I'm just flicking through here quite quickly. This is an interesting thing. So you get oh, I wonder if there was meant to be a pack of cards on it. Oh, that's in part of the pack of cards, yeah. So you've got these, so you can play this with either, I think there's encounter cards here, or just a deck of cards, an ordinary deck of cards, and you can draw encounters. So generic encounters, which is quite nice as GM. So you can sort of draw things and they do different. And there's little mini sort of scenarios to play out in an evening, which is quite nice. So things like a Marauder roadblock. A band of Marauders have set up a roadblock. They have AKMs, one RPG, one reload, a pickup truck with half a tank of alcohol fuel, and DSHK machine gun, one reload. They also have 2d6 rations of domestic food. The Marauders are very aggressive, try to stop capture or kill the characters. Should the PCs be captured, the Marauders bring them to their leader. The Marauders flee if half of them are incapacitated. So that's quite nice. So you kind of can just draw that and then you run it wherever you want to run it. And there's a selection of different ones, and then there's bits about how to make different NPCs. So as a GM, you've got, actually here, you've got 52 different mini encounters to run. So that's really, really quite nice. And you get things like rumours and all kinds of stuff that you can do. Rumours and radio chatter and mood elements and all kinds. Lots of tables that you can do things on quite easily. To make it that bit faster and make it that bit easier as a GM, so it's very open-ended. Then principles of the game: nowhere safe, resources are scarce, players lead the way, rumours abound, everything is personal, the end is never set, death is part of life, and hope never dies. It's quite it's a bleak world, but you get a lot of information about how to make it a bit more interesting. A bit less bleak, but also there's a lot for a GM there. And then the player's manual, which I can spend a little bit more time on because that's quite nice. So what we get here is we get a bit about the setting, then the different types of player characters and how they work, and there's different ways to generate characters. So there's an archetype method, which you pick an archetype and then make a few choices, or a life path, or make a series of choices and develop your character that way. And then there's what different skills do, combat and damage, how that works, weapons and vehicles and gear, and then travel. how that works. The artwork is very atmospheric, very bleak. I've seen this on. I've had a download of the beta of this for quite a while, and actually, what I have to admit is, seeing it in the flesh, it just looks so much more impressive, so much more accessible. That may be a generational thing, I don't know. But there's loads. You can see kind of the idea. I'm looking at this and going, it's really quite nice. It's quite well themed. There's a lot of detail in it, but not. If I think back to the original one, the 1980s ones, the first and second edition of Twilight 2000 were just so detailed that they were a bit overwhelming, if I'm really honest. I'm going to try and open these cards while I'm talking. This doesn't feel like that. It feels a little bit, from what I've read and from what of the betas, it's a little bit more accessible, but it still gets the same feel of. It still feels like Twilight, but it's a lot less crunchy and clunky. Because I think one of the problems with Twilight was it was so much detail that you kind of got lost in it, and you could almost lose the game in it. You could forget. You get so wrapped up in all the detail that you would forget what you're trying to achieve. It was, you spend hours looking at rules for this and rules for that. There's not as many rules, detailed rules for obscure things, but there are enough rules to make it work as a world. I'm hoping I can get these open. Nearly there. Sorry, I hate cards because card packs are always one of the hardest things to open. The cellophane always seems to cling to them. Here we go. So let you get a look at this, because this is all the stuff. This is the Kickstarter, but this is all in the ordinary one, I think. That's my knowledge. So you get initiative cards. You get 10 of those to deal out to see who does what, who goes first. Then we get our encounter cards, which are basically the same as in the book, but they're in a card, which makes them a little bit easier to use, which I quite like. I'll freely admit I prefer them being in a card because I can shuffle them. I don't know, it's just easier for me. And that's what the rest of the cards are. Now I'm just going to randomly pick one. Let's see what it is. So Viper's Nest. And you get a number of symbols, and these are explained in the book what they mean. So there's in the roadway, sunny weather, and there's it can be in the evening time, I think. A burnt out derelict bus. The wreck is beyond repair, but the PCs can salvage parts from it. There is plenty of scrap around, and any road scrounge in the area gets +2 bonus. A Viper has made its nest inside and will attack any PC who enters it, and that counts as an ambush. So there's a number of different bits, different things that you can do. And the fact is that these can happen at any point, while you're travelling. So that's quite cool. What do you think overall? I was a bit wary because I like the big chunky hardback book, if I'm honest. And I was a bit, I don't know about this. But it's Twilight 2000, so I backed it because Twilight 2000 is a very special place in my heart, and I just thought, oh yeah, go for it. Seeing it in the flesh, I am very impressed. Free League do very good quality stuff. This is a departure. This is not the way they normally do things. They've done a few where they've been boxed sets, but I see it works for this. And I quite like the fact that I've got a player's manual that I can give to somebody and get them to have a look at as a GM. And then I've got my GM bit over here as well, which is really nice. I like the way the dice are going to work, and without going into the mechanics, which we will do in other videos, I think that's really nice and really good. I like the fact that you basically have everything to run with in this for quite a good period of time. So many different maps really helps. I'm not sure what these are for, if I'm really honest, other than they give you a bit more flavour and fluff, and that's quite good fun. But the maps and the tokens and the fact that I can, that we've got everything, and even just those silly little, there's a lot of really nice touches, there's a lot of things I'm really looking at this and going, that's cool. And I actually like that this isn't a starter pack, but it's got this in it, because yeah, I will probably print ones offline, they are online, and I will use them, but I like that you can have a final one a bit like this. I like that you can really, I like them being there. I know that sounds a bit silly, but it's nice. And it's those nice little touches in this. The artwork is very, very good. The rules, I like the fact they're a bit streamlined. My only concern is that it's a little bit, because of the soft back, is how much wear and tear is it going to take, and hopefully it'll take enough wear and tear to make it through my normal gaming sessions. But overall, really impressed with that. Yeah, that's my 2p's worth. We will be doing a few more videos on this, and we will get back to you, and keep an eye on the channel for them. There's going to be quite a few on this topic. We are also going to do one on the Foundry app for this, and I've kind of got my head around it, and how Foundry works, and why I like Foundry. I haven't said, I'm coming at it from a very different perspective, I guess, and apparently that's coming out in the not too distant future for people who didn't back the Kickstarter, and I think it's actually a really good investment. Whether you play in person or not, I think the Foundry app has got some real potential in it, and could be very useful, especially in these times where people can get, it's not always quite a set in stone if people are going to meet in person sometimes with isolations and things. But anyway, thank you for your time, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great evening, and I will see you next time. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Bye bye.